that accolade of being one of just 5 riders in Premier Classic history to win.
Selamat bergabung.
If he was able to find himself on the top
Live,
of the KTM, well, he would be the first rider ever to do so for 4 different manufacturers. One for Maverick to be proud of in his previous 199 Grand Prix
Bentar lagi live scoreboard.
A bit of cool air.
Bentar lagi mulai 17 menit lagi ya.
Pretty could do with a bit of a pick me up, couldn't they, after what's unfolded over the last couple of Grand Prix also.
Bentar lagi live. Bentar lagi live kita 16 menit lagi. MotoGP 16 menit lagi ya.
The cameras are accompanying us to the starting grid where engineers and mechanics are making their crucial final checks before the start. Riders have completed the warm-up lap and are lined up on the grid. Just a few more moments and the Czech Grand Prix will begin.
Sebentar lagi 15 menit lagi live ya. Live scoreboard langsung MotoGP dari Dona Sport. Pantengin terus ya, yang belum subscribe. Sambil nunggu kita balapan dulu, masih ada 15 menit lagi ya. Di posisi pertama ada Bezzecchi dari Aprilia ya, P1 dia. Tadi Moto2 kita nggak live karena peminatnya nggak ada, karena pembalap Indonesia Mauricio Yaji nggak ada prestasi di situ ya. Jadi nggak ada orang yang nyari, jadi kita skip aja lah langsung. Kita skip aja langsung ke MotoGP. Skip aja lah langsung Moto2 mah. Waduh, Marco melebar, exit cornering. Masih ada 13 menit lagi menuju live. Kita live scoreboard ya. Scoreboard langsung live. Lihat detiknya update langsung dari info terupdate. Masih ada 13 menit lagi. Yang mau nyiapin kopi, siapin dulu kopi. Belas menit lagi live scoreboard MotoGP Ceko akan dimulai. Siap-siap, yang belum ada kopi bikin kopi dulu. Siapin rokok. 10 menit lagi kita live MotoGP ya, langsung dari Ceko, live scoreboard. Yang belum subscribe, subscribe dulu. Menit lagi ya. 10 menit lagi kita live MotoGP langsung dari Ceko. Yang belum subscribe, subscribe ya, loncengnya dinyalakan. Sebentar lagi mulai live MotoGP race hari terakhir ini ya, jangan sampai kelewat, ini hari terakhir. Lima menit lagi ya, 5 menit lagi dimulai. 5 menit lagi dimulai MotoGP kita live. Yang belum masak kopi dulu. Siapin rokoknya. Lima menit lagi kita live dari Ceko. Pantengin terus MotoGP hari terakhir ya, jangan sampai kelewat. 5 menit lagi kita live MotoGP. Yang belum bikin kopi, bikin dulu. Yang rokoknya habis, ke warung dulu beli. 3 menit lagi kita live MotoGP. Sambil nunggu kita balapan dulu.
This long race weekend also comes to a close with the end of the...
Ya, kita persiapan live MotoGP ya. Belum mulai. Masih belum mulai ya. Bentar lagi ya.
The tire, but it was so difficult to overtake for everybody. But maybe the long distance can create some show by the end, like Moto3, Moto2 we saw today.
Pembalap sudah nongkreng di starting grid ya.
Two spectacular shows already in Moto3 and in Moto2. Two of our most recent Moto2 world champions are gunning for the glory in this upcoming Grand Prix of Czechia. Akhir on pole, Mereka bumped up to
Siap-siap
P5 on the
kita.
grid. Qualifying 6 was the best qualifying performance by a Brazilian in the top class.
Bentar lagi mulai ya.
Was 5th on the grid in Philip
4 menit lagi, 4 menit lagi kita mulai.
You do feel like there's a big result coming very quickly for the 22-year-old
4
Brazilian.
menit lagi mulai ya.
What about Pedro Acosta then? This is Grand Prix start number 50 in MotoGP, and that stat still stuck alongside his name in his previous 49 starts. The Shark still winless in the top class. He's now had 13 MotoGP podiums, which now
4
means
menit
he's
lagi.
riding with the most podiums without converting any of them into a Premier Class victory.
That said, I think he would take a podium if
Para
you offered him it
pembalap
today.
3 menit
Doesn't
lagi,
appear
para
in the
pembalap
position to reflect
sudah
that. He's had the same
memasuki
level of
starting
performance
grid.
he had in balance on park where it was
Yang
to
belum bikin
park
kopi
that
masih ada
day.
kesempatan
And
bikin
Pedro
kopi ya.
Acosta, Jorge Martin then. Bit of a complicated procedure for him coming up then from 9th on the grid. Of course, he has to try and attack in the early stages, but not make the same mistake he made at the start in Hungary.
Pembalap sudah pakai helm ya.
And then of course trying to serve those 2 long laps and keep himself in a position to still take some
Pembalap
big points
sudah
out of the
mengenakan
Aston Martin
helm.
Bezzecchi.
Brno in 2025, boy Martin made his comeback from yet another major injury here in the Grand Prix of Czechia last year. He's going to need another big comeback.
Pembalap sudah mengenakan helm. 3 menit lagi dimulai.
The Japanese Grand Prix in 2004, Makoto Tamada. The last time we had a race winner in MotoGP, born and bred in Japan. That is what the Japanese fans into the early evening over in the big cities in Southeast Asia. We're going to be hoping that Agura-san can
3 menit lagi mulai ya.
his winning duck. A win today for Pecco Bagnaia, a repeat of his sprint success yesterday, or any other Italian on this grid, which is minus Marco Bezzecchi, of course. It would be the 300th Premier Class victory for Italy.
Safety car sudah masuk ke lintasan. 2 menit lagi safety car sudah masuk ke lintasan.
31 times a winner in MotoGP.
That means Gian Antonio next to him also looking to make that particular piece.
Safety car sudah memasuki lintasan, siap-siap. 2 menit lagi.
Ducati star Pecco Bagnaia. Alongside him, it's another Ducati GP26 with Valentino Rossi watching trackside. Fabio Di Gianantonio will fire away from the front row in second. But for the first time in 6 years, will he be the first winner from Japan in 22 years? Akhir on pole position in Brno.
Satu menit lagi. Satu menit lagi guys. Podium pertama ada siapa itu? Oi Ogura ya dari Jepang. P1 ada Ogura, P2 Di Antonio, 3 Francesco Bagnaia. Ya, sebentar lagi mulai guys. Sebentar lagi mulai.
The world's fastest riders are set for action here at the Czech Adrenaline Factory. We are braced for the Battle of Brno in 2026.
Para kru sudah meninggalkan lintasan, safety car sudah keluar.
Feature our current MotoGP World Championship leader Marco Bezzecchi, banned from today's action after a trackside altercation with a marshal.
Mark Marquez di urutan keempat,
the top 5 in the
di posisi keempat.
Which means factually a fully representation comes from Jorge Martin.
Ya, race dimulai guys.
If he is to maybe seize the lead in the MotoGP World Championship, a podium this afternoon will put Martin in control of the standings as we head to the Grand Prix of the Netherlands at the historic, the iconic TT Circuit Hasil.
Ya, balap sudah dimulai ya guys.
He does have to face 2 long lap penalties after his controversial
Balap
collision
sudah dimulai.
in the first corner in Balaton Park 2 weeks ago. Pecco Bagnaia is on the front row.
Pemanasan dulu.
Trying to prove that
Warming
his
up.
success yesterday was no fluke.
Pemanasan ya.
Can for the first time since he won the Japanese Grand Prix in Motegi Bagnaia.
Masih pemanasan. Masih pemanasan. Warming up.
Firmly believe that Fabio Di Gianantonio has got race winning potential.
Masih warming up ya.
The double winner in Balaton Park 2 weeks ago. And he make it back-to-back Sunday wins to find another spark, having ignited the defense of his World Championship charge with
Masih
that double win
pemanasan.
in the Grand Prix of Hungary. In front of the sun-drenched and sun-kissed hillsides here in Brno. We're about a 15-kilometre drive outside of downtown Brno, which is going to be buzzing tonight. There is confirmation then. Boy Martin's first defence causing a crash in that first corner in Balaton, which skittled out his teammate Marco Bezzecchi.
Yang lagi mau bikin kopi, bikin dulu, masih ada kesempatan.
Fermin Aldeguer also involved, of course, in that collision. So Marc Marquez, your most recent winner here in Brno. Brad Binder, 6 years ago, taking his first success, KTM's first ever win.
Yang mau bikin kopi, bikin dulu.
Pedro Acosta feels carrying their best hopes of a repeat triumph here this afternoon. The Spaniard in his 50th MotoGP start, he leads row 3 in 7th. A 200th MotoGP start incoming for Top Gun Maverick Vinales in the top class. But Ayagura, pole position to a sprint silver medal yesterday.
Ya, sudah
Over 10
memasuki
laps.
starting
We
grid.
go double the distance here at the Adrenaline Factory. The
Sudah
adrenaline
memasuki
pumping
starting grid.
right now for Agura, and 19 of his fellow fastest riders in the world.
Posisi pertama ada Ayagura.
World Champs leader Marco Bezzecchi is about to get
P1
underway here. Green
Ayagura,
flag
Marc Marquez
clears
di
at the
4.
back of the grid. It's lights out.
1, 2, 3. Iya. Mulai, guys. Mulai ya.
Has nailed the start. He's got the drop on the film. This long one down into the first corner. Around there in P5, having started in P5. Marquez
Mulai ya.
way through on Bagnaia up into
21
third
lap,
place.
totalnya 21
Fernandez is still
lap.
behind Moreira in 6th. Martin, I think, is up 1. He's in 8th place, just behind Pedro Acosta. Marquez straight on the attack too on Fabio Di Gianantonio, 4th to 3rd, and now to 2nd.
Oh, ultra aggressive as Digia. Well, twice he almost
21
lost the rear there as he squeezed the power back on going through 3 and 4.
Di depan masih ada Ayagura.
Marquez knows
Ayagura
you can't
masih
give play track to
memimpin.
Agura. You cannot let him get away.
And Acosta also piling on the agony for Fabio Di Gianantonio as he takes away 5th place. So Digia now down from staring at 2nd.
Posisi
He's now
sementara
6th.
Marc Marquez
Digi's getting
kedua,
right off.
ketiga Fabio
That's
Francesco
lovely. It's
Bagnaia.
aggressive. It was hard, but it was crucially clean. So the two
Jack
factory
Marquez di
Ducatis getting
8.
very busy, very aggressive on this opening lap. They don't want to let Agura get into his rhythm.
Oh, he's having a look at the inside
Masih
there. That's
lap
Bagnaia.
ke-1.
Now we're looking back from Ayagura. It's the same story at the moment. It wasn't a sprint yesterday. It's Ayagura versus factory Ducati.
Yeah, and here comes Bagnaia. Is he going to strike on the run down into the Schwantz corner, turn 10 for the first time? He can almost reach out and grab the rear aero on Agura's career. Was that Ralph Fernandez running wide on the brakes into turn 10? He drops back across the nose of Fermin Aldeguer.
The big mover on this first lap is Juan Mir, who's in 7th place. So we'll see on our timing screen shortly. But the information
Agura
that was
masih
sent to us from
memimpin.
Michelin is
Marc
that
Marquez
Mir
naik
is on the
ketiga.
soft rear tyre, which might
Marc
explain why
Marquez
he's
naik
made some
ketiga.
early progress.
So Agura then leading in MotoGP for the very first time. Martin, this is a good early charge through from the factory Aprilia. He's picked off me then going into turn 13. So for the first
Agura
time
masih
in his Grand
di
Prix career, Agura
posisi
leads
pertama.
over the line in MotoGP under big pressure, isn't he, from Pecco Bagnaia. The sprint
Jack
winner
Marquez
yesterday
ketujuh.
trying to squeeze on
Bagnaia
the
naik
inside
ke
line. There goes
posisi
the
kedua.
Italian, but there's no way through.
Yeah, Marc Marquez's front end was also
Mana
making all sorts of
pensnya
shapes as he
Bagnaia?
tried to get it stopped to turn 1. He's in 3rd place. Confirmation Mir is on the soft rear tyre in 8th place.
Memasuki
Just
lap
looked like
kedua.
Agura just made up, was a little bit scrappy
Memasuki
going
lap
through
kedua.
turn 2. He was, that's allowing Bagnaia to try and level him on the brakes into 3, hardest braking zone.
Agura
here in
dibayang-bayangi
Brno. Cutting
oleh
out to the inside line,
Bagnaia
going through forward
dan Marc
Bagnaia,
Marquez.
but on the cutback Agura will just sweep back on through. Intense early battle here. Is Bagnaia going to lose another place though now to 93? Acosta's got through, Moreira 2 in 4th place.
So much of the talk pre-race was about the heat, but not letting your tyres get too hot, front tyre and rear tyre, and that is why Bagnaia is so desperate here to get the track position and grab the lead from Ayagura.
Looked like Mir was going to have an attack
Wah,
potentially
seru
on
banget nih.
Martin going through turn 7. I think Martin was just about able to close the door shut in front of his fellow Spaniard. It's still Agura then that's at the front of this Grand Prix. He has been under immense early pressure from the 2 factory Ducatis. 9 MotoGP World titles between them.
Agura
behind him.
di
As Bagnaia
posisi
once again
pertama
will try
masih
and attack down the
memasuki
hill
lap kedua.
into the Schwantz corner. That was a move that the Texan legend would love himself. Bagnaia's going to cut it to the curve. He's going to make the apex.
21 lap.
Pecco Bagnaia leads.
Fabio Quartararo down on the 2nd lap. Another miserable week.
Wow, Bagnaia menyalip Agura posisi kedua sekarang.
This is Jorge Martin. We were briefly watching him defending from Fermin Aldeguer, and of course, while he's detached from this group,
Mamam,
and the 2 long lap
Agura
still to come, he's in some
disalip
trouble.
oleh
Acosta, no
Bagnaia
drive coming out of
Ducati.
turn 11. Oh, here comes Marc Marquez. He's got the inside line. Nothing that Ayagura can do
Luar
about that.
biasa
Acosta has held
Bagnaia.
on to 4th place ahead of Moreira, despite him not being razor sharp on the throttle coming out of 11. So a factory Ducati 1-2. Bagnaia with clear
Pendukung
tarmac ahead of
Ducati
him
mana?
at the first ride into the 53s, a 153.8 2:08.6. So Bagnaia leads you from Marc Marquez. Aguero then pushed back down from first to third.
The information has now come on your screens. It'll also be on Martin's dashboard. It's on the main
Ya,
straight.
Francisco
Now,
Bagnaia
he's
sekarang
issued his
memimpin.
double long lap penalty, so he has the next 5 or so laps to serve that penalty as Di Gianantonio's coming back through on Moreira. Martin has been passed by Fermin Aldeguer, and with 2 long laps still to come, he'll be way outside the top 10.
Yeah, he's got that place back though as Aldeguer went charging way too hot into turn 3. So a free hit there for Martin. Down we go into turn 5 then.
Bagnaia masih,
Lap
oh,
three,
Guras
lap
sekarang
21.
disalip
There
Marc
is Martin
Marquez.
then, having been given that notice. He knows the score. 5 laps he'll have to complete his double long lap. Is he going to come straight
Marquez
in?
sekarang di
No, this
posisi
time round
kedua.
he's going to plough on. He's got Joan Mir just ahead of him. Those two had a almost close contact right here at turn 7.
Yeah, I think it's best for
Marc
Martin
Marquez sekarang di
to take
posisi
his first
kedua.
laps, is to try and leave it as late as possible. Because if he takes the first long lap immediately, he'll drop in behind the likes of Marini, Bastianini and Binder, who are down in 12th, 13th and 14th. So I think Martin's just got to let this race play
Bagnaia
out, let the
masih
field gently
memimpin ya.
spread out, and then
Selisih
find a gap
0,4
slot into once
dari
it's served.
lebih unggul dari Marc
We
Marquez.
know how brilliant is a girl. Looks a little bit wide there going through turn 10. That's going to cost him a couple of tenths to the 2 bright red factory dukes ahead of him. We know he's one of the best performers on well-worn Michelin rubber towards the back end of Grand Prix. The factory Ducatis of Bagnaia and Marc Marquez will be more than well aware of the strengths and weaknesses of Agura. But at the moment, he's dropping back into the clutches of Acosta, Digi and Mir, not helped by that slow, wide run through turn 10.
Yeah, Agura won't want to overdo this, won't want to leave himself too much to do in the latter stages. No matter how strong you are at the end of the race, you don't want to be giving riders of the calibre and class of Pecco Bagnaia and Marc Marquez too big of a head start. Bagnaia at 1:53.540.
Marc Marquez masih di posisi
The
kedua.
2 factory Ducatis, along with Di Gianantonio, who's running fifth, are the only riders in the 53s.
Yeah, those 3 Ducati GP26s have got some serious early pace, haven't they, in the early part of this Brno battle. Bagnaia then just pivots the rear tyre back Ducati to get it turned into turn 3. And Bill's going to be careful here because
Marc
he's being
Marquez
detached
kedua, masih
away
posisi
from
kedua.
Bagnaia and Marc. And he's coming under pressure that's building behind him. Acosta and Di Gianantonio really is now closing up on Pedro Acosta. I don't think he's been close enough to attack the Spaniard on the brakes into turn 5. No, he isn't.
At the moment, what we're seeing is vintage Pecco Bagnaia at the moment, isn't it? Having won the sprint yesterday, he was so hard, he piled the pressure on, he asked the questions via Agura, and finally he was rewarded.
Agura masih di posisi ketiga.
In a position to be able to eke out the advantage over Marc Marquez, and are we potentially going to get
Bagnaia
the
masih
two
di
we've all been
1,
looking for between the
Marc
two
Marquez
factory
kedua.
Ducati teammates, Bagnaia and Marquez, with 9 MotoGP titles
Sangat
between them.
Fabio Quartararo's
berdekatan sekali ya.
on the factory
Sangat
Yamaha
sengit
roll,
sekali.
exit for the Frenchman. It's going to be now 3 successive Grand Prix. The Fabio Quartararo is not going to pick up a single point. Dismal, tough time for the 2021 world champion. Just moving out of your picture is Agura in 3rd place. What now looks like a slightly more comfortable 3rd. And on the previous lap, went a little bit wide at turn 10 and just given Acosta a bit of a sniff of throwing the K-team on the inside.
Still yet to see Martin
Bagnaia
serve
masih
either of his long lap
memimpin,
penalties. Those
selisih
2 counters next to his name on the left hand of screens will
dari
drop to
Marc
1
Marquez.
when he comes through first time. 2.8 seconds off the lead at the moment. The gap's starting to open up behind him. Now if he served his first long lap, he'd probably come out somewhere near Morbidelli in 11th place. So at the moment the field and the gaps are starting to open up for Martin.
Pendukungnya Bagnaia mana?
Marc Marquez is currently the fastest rider on circuit. He's just put in a 1:53.639.
Sudah berjalan 5 lap.
PB laps from both Agura and Acosta in 3rd and 4th respectively.
Sudah
You know what
berjalan
an
5
awesome
lap.
defensive rider Pedro Acosta is at the moment. Antonio just cannot get close enough. Can he to attack the Spaniard deep into this harsh braking zone into turn
Bagnaia
3?
masih memimpin.
You just pick up the throttle, go through this flip-flop through 3 and 4 and down the hill into one of the overtaking hotspots here in 5. But as you can see, Acosta giving no chance whatsoever for Digit to attack him.
Back with Martin then, the issue he's got at the moment is that he's bottled up in the group, being led by the 2 Hondas of Moreira and Mir. I think his right leg came out there, just indicating to Aldeguer, I'm going to peel off and go through the long lap penalty loop. Importantly, he doesn't go on the green on the outside of this long lap penalty loop. Knee down and does go onto the green. It's Jorge Martin now going to serve that all over again.
He's made a right
Bezzecchi.
a right hash of that, and his desperation to minimise the damage of those 2 long laps. He was massively on the green. that was a smart move, wasn't it, initially, to just dangle his left leg out to Ferdinand Aldeguer, letting Aldeguer know that he was going to be coming into the long lap. But having done so, well, pretty sure he's still got 2 long laps to serve.
Yeah, we'll keep a very close eye on our timing screens because they'll tell us whether he's incorrectly served it. Maybe they'll wait until he's come through twice before they tell him. We definitely know Martin is going to have to come through at least once more, potentially twice more. He lost those places to Aldeguer and Fernandez, so he's in 10th place now, and we'll wait to find out whether he's got 1 or 2 long laps left.
So there is this battle between Moreira and Aldeguer. Well, it has come up on our screens. This is the current information that Martin has served half of his 2 long laps. We'll keep a close eye on that, but at the moment the information is that, yeah, he's completed 1 of 2.
Yeah, the other teams certainly weren't too pleased with that when they saw Martin serving those long laps, the practice long laps, in that manner, but we're having confirmation that he is okay, so there's clearly a bit of a grey area there in terms of whether you're allowed to serve a long lap in that manner or whether you're not. Martin clearly would have been in no doubt before he came through that long lap loop what he was allowed to do and what he wasn't allowed to do, as Aldeguer now comes through on Diogo Moreira. So that's Ferdinand Aldeguer taking 7th place from Moreira, who's starting to gently fall back after that lightning start he made.
Costa's quick right now at this phase of the Grand
Masuki
Prix.
lap ke-6.
KTM 53.539. That's some speed by Acosta. Half a century of Grand Prix appearances in MotoGP notched up today for the 22-year-old Spaniard, still searching for that elusive first win. So this, if it's all legal and above board, will Jorge Martin taking his medicine. I tell you what, it looked like he almost took in the front there. I mean, will that be deemed a safe rejoin?
Well, that's what they're worried about, and I guess that's why Martin and Aprilia are saying it's better for us to go out onto the greens. If we're on the curb, we're straight in the face of another rider on the racing line. That was Maverick Vinales going onto the green there. So Jorge Martin has now been dribbled on a penalty loop twice, and if we trust that he's done so in accordance with the regulations, and Aprilia and Martin will have definitely checked before the race got underway.
Masih di posisi yang sama.
Martin is now free to race from 13th place.
13th place, you feel like a top 10 is going to be a good salvage job from that point for Martin. Here is your race leader, looking so comfortable, looking so composed. A throwback yesterday in the sprint to vintage Pecco Bagnaia. Well, he's doing the same at the moment. He's doing a number on the field in this Czech Grand Prix. He's upping the pace, is Bagnaia. Lap 6 of 21. He's just put in a 153.531.
Bagnaia masih memimpin.
7/10 clear of Marc Marquez. He in turns about half a second up the road clear of the pole sitter Ayagura.
Dengan lap tercepat 1 menit, 53 detik. Bagnaia
just a tenth slower than Agura on his personal best, and 2 tenths slower than Bagnaia leading the race. The Gian Antonio is just clinging on a little bit in the back of the picture there in 5th place. Mir still running a strong 6th, setting his personal best last time around. 2 seconds off the back of this leading group of 5. Mir's big jeopardy, I guess, in the second half of this race is if he's going to struggle in the second half of the Grand Prix on the soft rear tyre.
Trying to finish both a sprint and a Grand Prix for the first time, believe it or not, in 14 rounds. The last time he took the checker flag in both race events was at the Japanese Grand Prix in Motegi last
masih di
year.
posisi yang sama di lap ke-7.
Column for the 2020 World Champions. And a top rider, a very, very strong rider at the moment. Lead Honda up there in 6th place. As we pick up the
Sektor
top
1.
5. Powering down towards turn 5. It is Bagnaia that's still leading by about half a second to his teammate Marc Marquez. Turn 10 rather, this isn't it, the Schwantz corner.
And then just in the back of the picture, sorry, Matt Algora in 3rd place. And is he just going to keep his powder dry at this stage, knowing it's a long race to go? Perhaps it's better at this stage to sit maybe 4, 5, 6 tenths off the back of the rider in front of you, just to keep the temperature of your front tyre under control. We heard from Paul Chavathan, Pedro Acosta's crew chief, before this got underway. It's not the wear on the tyre, it's managing the temperature, which will decide whether you've got any grip left at the end.
Well, if you
Masih
see
di posisi
positives
sama,
from the
Bagnaia masih di
Bezzecchi
depan.
camp right now, looks like he will retain the lead in the MotoGP World Championship, doesn't it? Going to Hasil next weekend. Marc Marquez, fastest rider on circuit with a 153.
Marc Marquez di posisi kedua.
He's just starting to build up that pressure, turn up the wick.
Masuki lap ke-8.
Well, interesting, we got messages on screen earlier on the weekend, didn't we, that going out onto the green when you serve a long lap penalty will be deemed a track limit strike. Well, that would make sense to Jorge Martin already at this stage on lap 8 has been given a track limits warning. I think we can see already where 2 of those were, and when he went onto the green coming out along that penalty loop. So Martin has to be a little bit careful now with the green tarmac on the outside of this Brno racetrack, otherwise he might not be done with 2
Selisih
long laps
0,5 detik dari Marc Marquez.
See that almost identical gap between the top 5 at the moment. This front tyre temperature, front tyre pressure, something that these riders are having to contend with and juggle right now. We're not even at the halfway point, not even close to the halfway stage of this Grand Prix. It's scorching hot conditions, punishing for those Michelin tyres as we track the 2 factory Ducatis then through turns 8 and 9. That gap is coming down once again. Marc Marquez is starting to hunt down Bagnaia.
Yeah, they've got different ways of tracking
Masih
it,
di
depending on what type
posisi
you're riding, in
pertama
terms of
Bagnaia.
the tyre pressure parameters and making sure you've fulfilled the requirements to avoid a penalty at the end of the Grand Prix. For the Ducati point of view, they get the indicator on their dashboard. Once they've fulfilled the required number of laps, you've got to fulfill a certain percentage of the distance within the right tyre pressure. Once you've done that, you're then free to go. So potentially for Marc Marquez, he'll be waiting until he's ticks that particular box, and then you can go all out attack.
So there is Agura, 0.8 of a second. He is behind Marc Marquez.
Masih di posisi yang sama.
14 we go then. Some shot that the world champion dragging his knee and elbow through that final corner.
Makasih yang udah like.
Lap 9 of 21 we go. It is still Bagnaia that's keeping Marquez at bay by almost half a second. That gap has just crept out between Marquez and Agura to 0.8. He's now 1.3 seconds
Memasuki
off
lap
the
ke-9.
lead. Is the Japanese rider. Picking up now, powering towards turn 3. He's under no serious threat, no big pressure from Acosta behind him. And Acosta actually has dropped Fabio Di Giannantonio, hasn't he? Fabio Di Giannantonio just had to maybe back off the pace here because he's scorching that front tyre.
He's dropped into the 154s on the last lap for Di Giannantonio. He was only a smidge faster than Mir behind him. Aldeguer in the 53s now in 7th place. We're picking the 54 up now as he's closing in on the factory Honda of Joan Mir. For Jorge Martin fans, if you're trying to keep an eye on his progress, unfortunately for you, he hasn't made any progress since he filtered in after that long lap penalty in that group of KTMs. He's still stuck there.
Herrera trying to hold on to this 8th place ahead of Raul Fernandez. Through the suffering in the second half of this Grand Prix. He had to cancel all of his media duties here in Brno on Thursday. There was fears that he might miss this Grand Prix and next weekend's Grand Prix of the Netherlands in Assen with appendicitis. So any points that Raul Fernandez can pick up in this Grand Prix will feel like a bit of a win, a bit of a bonus. As Moreira just about to get that Honda stop down the hill into turn 10.
Keep an eye on the leading pair at the top left-hand corner of your screen, the helicopter shot. Keeping an eye on Bagnaia and Marc Marquez, tracking them through the
Masih di lap
first 3
ke-9.
sectors. Very little to choose. Marquez just chipping away in every sector.
Masih di posisi yang sama.
Is the gap, but I think that's a
Belum
gap
ada
that both of the
perubahan.
Ducati riders will be fairly comfortable with, whereas they're not even at half
Sangat
distance yet.
sengit sekali.
Right now, Ducati are jumping on the juggler, aren't they? Over Aprilia right now. No Marco Bezzecchi in this Grand Prix. You sense that this was going to be a massive free hit, an open goal as far as the factory Ducati team are concerned, in recovering a whole chunk of points once again to Bez and Martin, and they are taking that advantage. They are seizing it with both hands, aren't they, right now? And Naya and Marc Marquez once again just slightly quicker, nothing in it really, a 53.6, better with a 53.5 from the 93 of Marc Marquez. A lonely third now for Agura, who is stretching away from Acosta. In fact, Agura is matching the pace.
Bagnaia masih memimpin.
Agura has just put in his PB lap of this Grand Prix. Looks like he's broken Acosta.
It looks like Marc Marquez is now starting to really close on Pecco Bagnaia. Bagnaia was a fraction wide through turn 3, which gives you a more acute line into 4. There are a variety of lines that we often see through that corner, so it might not necessarily have been a mistake. It might have been by design. We're now looking forward from the reigning world champion, 7 MotoGP world titles. Marc Marquez up ahead of him. Pecco Bagnaia, a 2-time MotoGP world champion. The heavyweight Ducati pair, and we haven't seen many on-track battles between the two. Are we going to get one for victory here today?
These two will know, as they keep seeing on their pit board, the gap between them and 79 Agura. They will know that there's maybe an attack coming late on. The onus here on Agura to try and snatch away some important championship points for Aprilia. On board then with Marc. Through 12 we go. Now you're going to start this rapid ascent up horsepower hill. Over the blind crest now on the race into turn 13. You just see there a bit of a running time lifting in the air for Bagnaia. That's how hard he's having to push to keep himself at the front of this battle in Brno. What's the gap between them now? This is the closest that Mark has been. 63 taking on 93. Yeah, that gap's come down to just under 0.2 of a second. And his successive
Bagnaia
PB
masih
laps for
memimpin.
Akhir as well. For this
Selisih
stage of the race,
0,185
half
dari
distance.
Marquez.
This is a real fast pace.
Sudah
How much longer can
berdekatannya
they
tinggal
sustain this
berdua
for?
nih doang di
Too
depan
fast
nih.
for Pedro Acosta. He's now doing mid-54s in 4th place. He's reversed back towards Fabio Di Gianantonio. That's a battle now going on for 4th and 5th. Jorge Martin has made his first overtake since serving his 2 long lap penalties. He has just passed Enea Bastianini for 12th place. That's worth 4 points to him.
Ya, Jack Marquez kena
gets
penalti
claws
ya.
in very quickly
Track
to
limit.
Frankie Morbidelli. Track limits warning coming in the way of Fermin Aldeguer, who at the moment is doing high 153s, and coming back into this battle for 4th place is now Fabio Di Gianantonio. Bagnaia, the team communication. Well, that's not a sight that's going to keep you cool, is it, in MotoGP? Plus 0.93 as they power out of turn 7. Marc Marquez, I mean, he'll be getting the message from his pit board that Agura's closing in here. Mark's going to be thinking, well, I've got to get through on Pecco very, very quickly, because we know how good Agura is in the latter stages of the Grand Prix. We're going to go down the hill then into turn 10. Mark's not going to be close enough, is he, to attack Pecco?
Of course, that is all just for Pecco Bagnaia's information, but he will be well aware at this stage not only the gap behind him, but who is behind him. There are a few experiences less comfortable in MotoGP than Marc Marquez being the rider immediately behind you. Agura is within about a second of the race lead now in 3rd place. And Pedro Acosta now nearly 2.5 seconds back of Agura, and he's already starting to really struggle.
Martin has indeed picked off 11 from Morbidelli, so
Memasuki lap
he's still
ke-11
getting himself in
ya.
the top 10. He's 2 seconds. a little
Izin
bit more
gabung,
behind
siap
Marini
Aris
in 10th
Purnianto
place
dari
as it
kota
stands right
mana
now.
Bapak
Out
Aris?
of the
Terima
final
kasih
corner.
sudah bergabung,
Full
belum
power engaged with the
subscribe ya,
two
karena
factory
kita
Ducatis.
tiap hari live soal MotoGP.
Successive laps that Agura has found a PB lap, a 153.491 on that lap number 11. And Agura now exactly 0.8 of a second behind Mark.
Do you want to know what kind of level we're dealing with
Tarseno.
here? With Bagnaia and Marc Marquez, they both set identical
Hi,
lap
Tarseno.
times on the last lap around. Both of them did a 153.619. So Bagnaia is not
Posisi
going to let
masih
this
sama
one
ya.
go easily. He wants his first
Masih
double of 2026. And of course, it'll
Agura
be his first
ketiga,
double
selisih
since the weekend
0,7.
Marc Marquez was crowned world
Marquez
champion.
kedua, Bagnaia
Agura is
masih
coming.
pertama,
Agura
kayaknya
is
sampai
on the
selesai ini.
charge. The
Bagnaia
53.6 is from Mark
Masuki
and
lap
Pecco,
10 ya.
lightning fast, but still not as fast as Agura, coming on strong behind the pair of them. You feel that this is the golden chance, the first real big opportunity, maybe Kota aside when he was steamrolling towards the front before he had the big mechanical late on for Agura to win his first Grand Prix in MotoGP, to be the first Japanese rider to do so in over 2 decades. Yeah, the gap's come down to half a second already. Halfway around this lap 12, he's taken a 1/4 of a second out of Marc Marquez.
I think in part that's also because I think Marc Marquez is just dropping back a little bit from Pecco Bagnaia. Was 2/10 at the start of the lap. That gap has nearly doubled between the factory Ducati riders. So as Marc Marquez again just had to perhaps give his front tyre a little bit of a breather and reverse away from his teammate back towards Agura. No pressure, I know nothing really phases
Agura
you. Just
selisih
9 MotoGP World
0,49.
Championships you've got to overtake if you want your first win.
You're glued to the back of the
Halo,
rear trying to
Bang
cost him, but
Aris.
that's where he's been stuck pretty much
Halo,
for the
Bang
entirety
Aris.
of this Grand
Di
Prix.
subscribe kalau belum subscribe.
What have you got then, Agura? What have you got Trackhouse Aprilia? As we shortly
Kalau
going to move
ada
on to
rezeki
lap
boleh
13
donate
of
2000
21.
perak. Boleh. Kalau
Marc
suka
Marquez, there's the message, loud and
Buat
clear
beli
to the
gorengan.
number 93. Fair play to Bagnaia. He has responded. He's just put in his best lap of this Grand Prix. A 53.510.
Saweria ada di
He's desperate
bio.
for the double, isn't he, once again, the
Barangkali
63.
ada RT
Pecco
di
out to
GoPay
prove
di
the point
Dana
that I can
2000
go head to head
buat
with Marc
host beli
Marquez on
kopi.
equal machinery on
Karena
the same
kita live
day
setiap
for
hari.
victory and beat him. That would mean an
Menghibur,
awful lot to Pecco Bagnaia, who of course has got so much success over his years.
fansnya
31
MotoGP dan
victories.
Moto3.
He's looking to become the 300th victory for Italy in MotoGP. But in terms of a head-to-head with Marc Marquez, this would mean so much to him.
Costa once again defending like an absolute titan. How wide does he make that KTM? Awesome job once again, isn't it,
Maaf,
by the Spanish rider. When you look where some of the other
0,5
KTMs are, I mean, the
dari
next best RC16
Is he
is down
through?
in 13th place. Did you then finds a way through on Acosta? Finally,
There's a big long look there from Pedro Acosta. He was looking over to his left and he went wide. Do wonder whether Pedro Acosta might be into some front tyre issues in terms of his pressure, and he needs to
Yang
sit
belum
behind someone
subscribe,
and
boleh
cool and
subscribe.
get some heat onto his front tyre rather than cool it down. There was a clear, noticeable look to his left there from Acosta when he went wide at 7.
Posisi yang sama.
Second between Bagnaia and Marc Marquez. Yeah, there is the long look then from Acosta to his left. So the 4th place that Didier did not really have to fight for it, didn't really have to muscle his way through, did he, on Acosta? I was just about to say, Acosta doing another phenomenal job for KTM. I mean, their next best runner is Enea Bastianini down in 13th place. He's over 10 seconds behind Acosta. Maverick Vinales potentially picking up a point to mark his 200th MotoGP start. Trying to prove a point here is Ayagura. Well, this is Agura stand territory, isn't it? This is where he tends to come into his own. Lap 13 in the books. Agura has just put in the best lap of this Grand Prix. 153.392. Agura eyeing that first MotoGP victory.
Catching though is one thing, catching Marc Marquez and Pecco Bagnaia, overtaking them is something altogether different. He has 8 laps to pass 2 legends of MotoGP. Agura, potentially a legend of the future, Moto2 world champion, first pole position clinched yesterday, first sprint podium, first Grand Prix podium is on his way if he stays where he is in 3rd place, but Agura has no mood to stay where he is.
His first MotoGP podium coming in, that's historic, all the Pirelli lockout of the podium in Le Mans at the French Grand Prix. There's been some tough times of late, hasn't there, though, for the Nawali factory, the double lap, long lap for Jorge Martin. The banned today for series leader Marco Bezzecchi. He is at least going to cling on to the World Championship lead going to the Netherlands next time out. Down the hill we go then. Agura.
Masih di posisi yang sama, guys.
Can he get close? 7.5 to go here in Brno. It's been the front running made for much of this race. Agura led for the first 2 or 3 laps, did he, before he yielded to the 2 factory Ducatis, but it's still Bagnaia that's resisting.
I have to give a shout out to Mir once again in 6th place, still lapping in the 153s. Remember, he's the only rider on track who's got the soft rear tyre fitted. He'll be hoping he doesn't hit that cliff edge of performance in the remaining
Marc Marquez
7.5 laps.
masih
He's still,
di
of course,
posisi kedua, selisih 0,264.
top 6 finish for the 2020 champion.
Yeah, that is class ride, that by Joan Mir. Absolutely awesome. He'll just be desperate to see the checker flag here in Brno, because in his last 3 visits he's been collected and taken out by the opposition. Marc Marquez now then, he is responding to Agura's pressure. He's
Marc Marquez masih memimpin.
responding to Agura's charge, because that's now successive laps that Agura and Marc
Marquez selisih 0,74. Ini depan belakang satu tim ini.
Incredible pace. Such a hot pace.
Ngapain ya balap-balapan sama satu tim?
Sustaining this
Kan menang
now. Well used and abused Michelin tires.
Satu tim di 2 ini. Di depan menguasai.
Where Bagnaia had a look at Marc Marquez, and will that spark Agura into action? If Marc Marquez hits the front and passes Bagnaia, surely Agura is going to have to crack on here.
Marc's going to be wary. It's all well and good hugging the rear tyre of Pecco Bagnaia, but he's going to have to be wary about the tyre temp and the tyre pressure. Can't sit too long, certainly this close to Pecco Bagnaia, when is a rider who was born to win. It's in his DNA. Settle for second, never. That is just not something that Marc Marquez does. It's not something that he ever entertains. We power them now out of turn 9, down into turn 10. Pecco Bagnaia. Yep, nothing that Marc can do. Bagnaia still holding firm.
see visibly from the onboard camera how the front end is moving around for Marquez as he's pleading that factory Ducati to stop into turn 10. Yeah, once you get this close behind Bagnaia, if he doesn't pass in,
posisi masih sama Bagnaia di urutan pertama, Marquez kedua disusul oleh Ogura. Wah, ada yang naik. Acosta jadi turun, posisi 6. Acosta jadi turun.
So shortly will be on lap 16 of 21. It's going to, it looks like we're poised. I thought some late fireworks here in the Grand Prix of Czechia. 53 fives from your top three. Gian Antonio, once he was able to clear Acosta.
Costa, he's now doing mid-54s in 4th place. He's reversed back towards Fabio Di Gianantonio. That's a battle now going on for 4th and 5th. Jorge Martinez made his first overtake since serving his 2 long lap penalties. He has just passed Enea Bastianini for 12th place. That's worth 4 points to him.
Masih di posisi yang sama.
To Frankie Morbidelli, track limits warning coming the way of Fermin Aldeguer. At the moment is doing high 153s, and coming back into this battle for 4th place is now Fabio Di Gianantonio. Bagnaia, the team communication. Well, that's not a sight that's going to keep you cool, is it, in MotoGP? +0.93 as they power out of turn 7.
Selisih 0,6.
He'll be getting the message from his pit board
Marquez
that
ke
Agura's
Bagnaia.
closing in here.
Oh, Marquez sudah menyusul. Marquez sudah menyusul di posisi pertama. Marquez sudah menyusul. Sudah menyusul guys, Marquez. Sekarang posisi pertama.
But he will be well aware at this stage, not only the gap behind him, but who is behind him. There are a few experiences less comfortable in MotoGP than Marquez being the rider immediately behind you. Akhir is within about a second of the race lead now in 3rd place. And Pedro Acosta now nearly 2.5 seconds back of Akhir, and he's already starting to really struggle.
Oh, disusul lagi sama Bagnaia ya. Disusul lagi sama Bagnaia.
Behind Narini in 10th place as it stands right now, out of the final corner. Full power engaged.
Selisih sangat dekat, 0,2 detik.
Successive laps at Akhir has found a PB lap, a 153.491 on that lap number 11. And Akhir now exactly 0.8 of a second behind Mark.
If you want to know what kind of level we're dealing with here with Bagnaia and Marquez, they've both set identical lap times on the last lap around. Both of them did a 153.619. So Bagnaia is not going to let this one go easily. He wants his first double of 2026, and of course it'll be his first double since the weekend Marquez was crowned world champion.
Akhir though is coming. Akhir is on the charge. The 53.6 is from Mark and Pecco, lightning fast, but still not as fast as Akhir, coming on strong behind the pair of them. You feel that this is the golden chance, the first real big opportunity. Maybe Kota aside when he was steamrolling towards the front before he had the big mechanical late on for Akhir to win his first Grand Prix in MotoGP, to be the first Japanese rider to do so in over 2 decades. Yeah, the gap's come down to half a second already. Halfway around this lap 12, he's taken a 1/4 of a second out of Marc Marquez.
I think in part that's also because I think Marc Marquez is just dropping back a little bit from Pecco Bagnaia. Was 2/10 at the start of the lap. That gap has nearly doubled between the factory Ducati riders. So as Marc Marquez again just had to perhaps give his front tyre a little bit of a breather and reverse away from his teammate back towards Akhir. No pressure, I know nothing really phases you. Just 9 MotoGP World Championships you've got to overtake if you want your first win.
Digi glued to the back of the rear trying to Costa, but that's where he's been stuck pretty much for the entirety of this Grand Prix. What have you got then, Akhir? What have you got Trackhouse Aprilia?
Masih bertahan, sudah memasuki lap ke-12 ya. Ini ini nggak berubah-berubah gila.
Marquez, there's the message, loud and clear to the number 93. Fair play to Bagnaia. He has responded. He's just put in his best lap of this Grand Prix. A 53.510.
Berubah loh
He's
posisi
desperate for the
lo.
double, isn't he, once again, the 63.
Yeah, and Pecco out to prove a point that I can go head-to-head with Marc Marquez on equal machinery on the same day for victory and beat him. That would mean an awful lot to Pecco Bagnaia, who of course has got so much success over his years. 31 victories, and he's looking to become the 300th victory for Italy in MotoGP. But in terms of a head-to-head with Marc Marquez, this would mean so much to him.
Costa once again defending like an absolute titan. How wide does he make that KTM? Awesome job once again, isn't it, by the Spanish rider? When you look where some of the other KTMs are, I mean, the next best RC16 is down in 13th place. Did you then finds a way through on Acosta? Finally.
There was a big long lock there from Pedro Acosta. He was looking over to his left and he went wide. Do wonder whether Pedro Acosta might be into some front tyre issues in terms of his pressure, and he needs to sit behind someone and cool and potentially get some heat onto his front tyre rather than cool it down. There was a clear, noticeable look to his left there.
Nggak berubah soalnya
he's going to go
posisinya.
through on Moreira, so Martin's day
Bang
is going to get
Marquez
better.
di posisi pertama ya.
He's going to rescue.
Marquez
He's going to salvage a
menyusul,
top 10,
Ogura
it looks
naik,
like,
menyusul
despite those
Bagnaia.
2 long lap penalties.
Posisi
He
kedua.
could have probably settled for a top 10 given the
Halo,
circumstances that he was facing coming
Amria
into this
Buddha.
21 lap Grand Prix.
Dari mana kakak?
Do you know what, Marc Marquez, he's just riding phenomenally. Look at this, did Antonio just put in the fast lap of the Grand Prix?
2 lap lagi, tersisa 2 lap lagi ya. 2 lap lagi, 2 lap lagi, ayo 2 lap lagi.
The first half of this Grand Prix, 53.199 from
2 lap lagi, Marc Marquez pertama, Ogura kedua, Bagnaia turun jadi 3.
Bagnaia recognised the danger and responded with his own personal best. Still lost a quarter of a second to Gian Antonio on that previous lap, but it's limiting the damage at this stage. 1.2 the gap with 2 laps remaining. The gap between the top 2 is now half a second. Ogura though in danger of just running out of time.
Martin naik ke 10.
This is Marc
Martin
Marquez
naik ke 10.
reasserting his authority on the MotoGP World Championship. He said in the first part of the season he was riding with 1.5 arms, struggling to recover from that right arm injury. A screw compressing the radial nerve in the right arm, which was causing him pain and causing him numbness. He looks like he is emerging back to his brilliant best, and he's going to need his best. He's going to need his Sunday best, isn't he, to hold off Ogura here in Brno.
2 lap lagi, 2 lap lagi
down the hill
kakak.
into turn 10 for the second to
2
last
lap
time.
tersisa.
Ogura now needs the lap and a half of his life if he is to wrestle P1 away from the world champion.
Yeah, he needs to be strong in this final sector too, as he was in the
Ogura
previous
sekarang
lap. He
kedua.
loses time in sectors 2 and 3.
Ya podium ini aja sih udah.
On the final lap, but is he close enough? A bit of a shake of the head was it there from Ogura back in second place. Is he recognising that after all the hard work he's done this weekend, it's been the best weekend of Ogura's MotoGP career, but is it just going to fall short of a maiden win?
Over the line we go then. 5.4 kilometres standing between Marc Marquez and another brilliant Brno performance.
Last lap memasuki
When
last
has Marc
lap.
Marquez ever given up an 8
Lap
tenths of a
terakhir
second
memasuki
lead
lap
going into a
terakhir.
final lap? Fair play to Ogura, he has fought a great fight, but just like in yesterday's sprint, is he going to be toppled by a factory Ducati? Yesterday it was Bagnaia that denied him a gold medal. Today it looks like it is going to be the reigning world champions going to go back-to-back in Brno as Pedro...
Is that more KTM problems? It appears so. On the last lap, Pedro Acosta retires
KTM
from
rusak
mid-place.
mesinnya.
That is a bitter pill for Acosta to swallow. Tough
Keluar
times for
dari-
Pedro Acosta, who's going to
keluar
leave
dari
Brno
balapan
pointless. A chance for
kualifikasi.
him to really stick his nose in that championship fight with no Marco Bezzecchi point scoring finishes this weekend.
Gap has been cut in half
It
here.
has been cut in half. You know what, Akhir might need this to be a 22-lap race. He closes in. But look at this from
Ya, last
Bagnaia.
lap, siapakah juaranya ini?
Well, there could be two late plot twists here in Brno. Is Akhir going to get Marc Marquez for the win? Is Digi going to get Bagnaia for the final place on the podium?
Happened to Bagnaia and Mugello last year, didn't he, when he lost the third place in the final meters to his fellow Italian. You can see the nerves from Julio Marquez, who I think wants to watch his son. His son is 3 corners away from back-to-back MotoGP wins.
This one's over. This one is over. Akhir has tried to go toe-to-toe with Marc Marquez, which is arguably just about the toughest task in Grand Prix racing history. But once again, we are looking at the
final
93
sektor,
magician.
masuk
Just
ke
look how
final
hard he is
sektor ya,
pushing.
siapa
Through that
pemenangnya?
final corner he goes.
Ayo,
It's
siapa
back-to-back wins in
pemenangnya?
2026 for Marc Marquez. It's back-to-back wins in Brno for the reigning world champion. He
Yeah,
has
finish,
done it.
guys.
Antonio says the fastest lap of the race
Finish,
on the last
finish,
lap,
finish,
but
finish,
can't
finish,
take the
finish,
podium
finish.
and steal the third place away
Finish,
from Bagnaia.
finish.
Akhir then from pole position does take 2 second places, by far his best weekend of his MotoGP career. But Marc Marquez, how does he keep on doing it? Once again, he defies the odds here in Brno. He takes the win by just under half a second. Akhir Bagnaia your podium, Antonio 4th, Mir takes a superb 5th place. Top job that by the factory Honda rider. 6th for Aldeguer. Points to Fernandez, Marini, Martin in 9th. Good recovery from his 2 long laps. Bastianini took Moreira on the last lap for 10th. Bindemore with Razgat Lioglu and Vignales on his 200 start are in the point scoring places.
He is spent.
Has he ever had to work that hard for 25 points
Ogura
in his Grand
ketiga
Prix
ya.
career? He topped the century of wins last time out in Balaton Park, and now it is win number 1
Ogura ketiga.
for Marc Marquez, who has done what he would have set out to do. No points
Ogura kedua, Bagnaia
for World Champions leader
ketiga.
Marco Bezzecchi. 25 points collected today by Marc Marquez. We have seen a massive swing in this World Championship. Bezzecchi came into this Czech Grand Prix with a 20-point buffer over Martin. That has shrunk down to just 8.
This was how Marquez, how hard he was trying.
Ya, sekian guys ya, udah selesai balapnya. Host sudah ngantuk ini. Besok lagi kita update ya. Ya, thank you semuanya ya.